Hey everyone, Brendan Snyder here. How are you? Thanks so much for joining me and welcome to What's New at Metallica Blue Records, a record label you might not be familiar with, but hopefully by the end of this episode you will be. They're certainly putting out some killer stuff. So what does Mr. Big, Y&T, Tesla, and Babylon AD all have in common? Well, certainly they are some of the best and most killer late 80s, early 90s bands. You know, they were some of them part of the glam metal scene. We can argue that whether Tesla was or was not, but certainly all part of that era. And the thing is, they've all got related releases on Metallica Blue Records. And I got some killer ones here to talk to you guys about. We'll do that in just a bit, but before we start, if you're new to my channel and you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do. Also, leave a comment, hit like. All those things do help support my channel. I'd greatly appreciate it. And of course, as an added bonus, if you turn on notifications, hey, you're gonna stay up to date on everything just like this, where I'm talking about some killer releases that have come from this label, Metallica Blue Records, that I recently discovered. And so first up, we're gonna be talking about the Eric Martin Band. And if you've never picked up this release here from Eric Martin, Sucker for a Pretty Face, you are certainly missing out. Eric Martin, of course, coming from Mr. Big. And, you know, they just put out a brand new killer album called 10, and it's made me dive back into Eric Martin's catalog. And I had pulled this out here, Sucker for a Pretty Face, their one and only album that came out while they were a band. And as part of the band, not only do you have Eric Martin in here, but you've also got Troy Luccketta of Tesla. So already right there, making this very interesting. Now, I wasn't aware of this at the time, but the other guys that are within this band, we've also got John Nyman in here on guitar, who played with Y&T, David Jacobson on keyboards, who toured with UFO, and then we've got Tom Duke in here playing on bass. So very, very cool release that you should definitely be checking out. It's been reissued. I think it's out on Rock Candy Records, but the one I want to talk to you about from Metallica Blue Records is the Sucker for a Pretty Face Original Sessions, 1982. So this cool release here is essentially the original recordings of this. So the band itself was signed to Elektra Records, but they went in and re-recorded 8 of the songs from these original sessions here. They added 2 more to it and dropped this album, but these are those original sessions in here. On top of that, it's got 7 never-before released songs, including the cover of Stop in the Name of Love, 16 tracks total on this thing. And I'll just show you the inside of this. It's cool. It's got an alternate album cover on that part of it, but I want to show you the inside of the booklet of these things here. And this is the hype sticker that comes with it, because I know a lot of you guys like it, and you can see that it promotes Mr. Big, Tesla, Y&T, as we just talked about. So 40th anniversary of the Sucker for a Pretty Face release, including 7 never-before released tracks featuring future members of Mr. Big, Tesla, and Y&T. I mean, wouldn't that make you buy it right there? But this is the part that I wanted to show you. It's very cool. So inside, we get a killer history of the band and, you know, the release and what they were doing and the original recordings and sessions. And they pack it full of killer information, old photos, stuff like that, archival stuff. So very, very cool information on all the tracks, the band members, that sort of stuff, making for a very cool release. And so, like I said, I pulled this out after the Mr. Big album dropped. And then I thought, I'm just going to Google, I'm just going to search. And I couldn't believe that I stumbled across this record label releasing the Sucker for a Pretty Face original sessions. And when I found this, it was like a Sunday, Monday kind of thing. And the release date of this was that Friday. So it was so awesome. I didn't have to wait very long for it. I got it, fell in love with it. And then what's really cool is one of the guys from the record label reached out to me and he said, hey man, I saw that you picked that up. We got a couple more releases coming out, and these are coming out later, either in this month or next month. And I'm going to put the date right there for you guys because I can't recall. But he said, you know, if you like the Eric Martin Band, then certainly you're going to like 415. And from the history of Sucker for a Pretty Face, I found out about 415. 415 was the original name of the Eric Martin Band. But there was a dispute between a company that had 415 in their name, and so Eric Martin Band couldn't use it, and it was really big at that time to name yourself after your front man. So they just went with the Eric Martin Band. That's kind of how that happened, and I never knew that, which was interesting information to get, because I kind of always thought, like, why'd you name it that? Why didn't you put it out under a band name? Well, you know, they used to be. They were called 415, the area code of where they were from. And so this one here actually being the debut album that they put out, having 10 tracks on it. And so this lineup a little bit different than who would move on to the Eric Martin Band, being pretty much the same guys. So we have Eric Martin, of course, Mr. Big, John Nyman on guitars, I mentioned Y&T, and David Jacobson on keyboards. And then Tom Duke is on bass. Mark Ross is on guitar, so that's somebody who did not continue on, and Jimmy Hoagland on drums. Of course, would later be replaced by Troy Luccketta of Tesla. So if you're kind of wondering, well, what does this sound like? What did 415 sound like? Because it's not quite the same as this. This gets rocked up a bit more and is more closely related to Mr. Big. The stuff on here, while still having elements and roots of that, I relate it to these two albums here. And I know a lot of you guys like this stuff. Stan Bush circa 1983 and the debut Michael Bolton album 1983. So that's sort of early 80s poppy sound. A little bit of that Springsteen-esque sound that was going on in like 81, 82 for him kind of stuff. But if you like these albums here, you're going to like 415. It's really, really good stuff. And they had 2 of these releases. So this is the second album, and it's also getting ready to come out again. Date right there, release date for you guys. And of course, you can head over to the the Metallica Blue Records label for this, which I'm going to leave a link in the description for you guys, certainly. But Boys Night Out, 1981, it was their second studio album, and produced by Greg Raleigh, if you can believe that, of Journey. And when I saw that, that immediately piqued my interest as into who are these guys and why did the now former keyboardist of Journey, but why did the keyboardist of Journey get involved? You know, what did he hear in them? And I love all that stuff about it. So I'm always checking who's, what members, where did they go? And we have the same lineup that I just mentioned before. So Eric Martin, John Nyman, David Jacobson, Tom Duke, Mark Ross, Jimmy Hoagland, all those guys who went on to do some other stuff, most notably with the Eric Martin Band. But then from there, they go on to do other things. 2 releases, 415, fronted by Eric Martin of Mr. Big. That's kind of the big draw to all of this stuff. And I just want to repoint this one out, The Sucker for a Pretty Face. So all of those. But because I mentioned the Greg Raleigh thing, I wanted to point out there's another Journey tie-in here for you guys. If you're fans of Journey like me, the debut album, which has the song I'm Alone, features background vocals from Steve Perry, former frontman of Journey. So lots of cool connections there, and certainly Eric Martin having an amazing voice. I can imagine why he would have attracted people like that, running that crowd and that sort of stuff. So that's just kind of a cool thing for the second album, this one, which was 1981. So 80 and 81 for those things. But that's not all. We still got some cool stuff here. So the next one to talk to you guys about, Benny and the Jets. And I mean, just look at that album cover. It screams glam metal, right? Lipstick and Leather, title of this, circa 78 to 81. Some recordings from throughout that time frame. But it, is a collection of stuff from the tenure. Now, here's the thing. So frontman of this group, Benjamin LaBarge, and I hope I'm saying that right, he goes on to another band, which I'm going to talk about shortly. But this band features Troy Luccketta before he joined up with the Eric Martin Band, So I was immediately drawn to this for that reason too, but that's not, the only reason for this. I found out more about this. There's 2 songs on here, and the title of it, if you're kind of going, wait a minute, isn't that a Y&T song? You are absolutely right. So the songs Lipstick and Leather and Do You Know would later get re-recorded on this album, In Rock We Trust. And Dave Meniketti would, add a lyric here or a lyric there or something, so I think he gets writing credit as well. But those are written by frontman for Benny and the Jets, Benjamin LaBarge, and they were recorded originally circa 78 to 81 before they turned up with Y&T. And there's a lot of other tie-ins there. Certainly I mentioned the guitar player, John Nyman, who part of 415, then the Eric Martin Band, having also connection over to Y&T. And I just love this stuff. For me, this is like, you know, string theory and science, and it's all related. It's all connected somehow. And a little vibration over here, a little vibration over there. And it's like, I love it. So lots and lots of cool stuff. But this one now, continuing on for that, I mentioned that Benjamin LaBarge had another band. So after Benny and the Jets, and there may have been some stuff in between there, but released here through Metallica Blue Records, Johnny. And kind of an oddly named band, but they were called Johnny. This is No Destination from 85 to 88, another album cover that screams glam metal. And so, yeah, if you're wondering what these things sound like, beyond their relation to, say, like Y&T, which certainly these sound like exactly like those album covers look. And that screams glam metal to me, and I love it. And I wear the flag proud for that, whether you call it hair metal, glam metal, whatever you want to call it. It's just great 80s rock is what it is, ultimately. But this album here, Johnny, as I said, circa 85 to 88, featuring Benjamin LaBarge on vocals. Unfortunately, passed away in 2020, so no more future stuff from him. Otherwise, it would have been really great. But this release here, when I found this one, it wasn't for Benjamin LaBarge, although I'm now seeing cool connections in there with him. It's for Danny De La Rosa. And he is the guitar player for Babylon AD. So you remember Babylon AD back in the day made 2 killer albums, Bingo the Bells, Hammer Swings Down, Desperate, the killer ballad that was. Kid Goes Wild that appeared in RoboCop 2. So lots of cool tie-ins there. Babylon AD even has a brand new album that's out, and that's what's been really great is some of these bands are still kicking around, dropping albums. And then as I get deep into this stuff and I go exploring online to try to find stuff, and finding Metallica Blue Records, who had these other related artist releases. You guys know I always talk about history on the channel when I'm talking about these bands and albums and where they came from and so forth. And this label is it, man. Killer, killer stuff. So Danny De La Rosa in the band, Johnny, really pulled me in. You can understand why he moves on to Babylon AD. Keith Bellino is on bass, Sammy Moore on drums, so that's the lineup. And all in all, man, this is some killer stuff for you guys to go check out. As I said, Metallica Blue Records has these killer related releases. They've got a bunch of other stuff too. I'm going to explore that. I may get some other stuff, but I wanted to point this out. And let me put the booklet back in for the Eric Martin Band. And I'm going to put my hype sticker back inside. Where do you guys keep yours? I like to keep them right inside my booklets like that. So I can pull that out and remember all the great things that it says. But here, I wanted to show you guys this. Let me get this in order. So after I got these 3, I noticed this. If you guys know the logo right there, let me get this back together. Do you see the logo is forming for the Eric Martin? Looks like there are 3 more releases coming, right? So I reached out to the guy at the label and I asked him, and he said, sure enough, they're working on some stuff. So hopefully I can do another video for you guys soon talking about more things related to 415, Eric Martin Band, Eric Martin and beyond, right? That will form out that. I kind of feel like, you know, maybe this one, Benny and the Jets, because of Troy Luccketta, should have been slid in there, but I don't know what they have planned, and that's super exciting to me. Hopefully that will come down the wire and I can share it with you, and they're allowed to tell me. You know, if they reach out and give me the news, the information, I will certainly put this stuff out in my music news episode for you guys. So all in all, 5 killer albums for you guys from Metallica Blue Records. Again, related artists, man. We talked about Mr. Big, Tesla, Y&T, Babylon AD. I mean, there was even some relation to UFO in this. So, you know, if you're like me and you love those bands and you have all the albums, this is how you get more stuff, right? You dig into what other members did from those bands. So there you go, man. Head over to Metallica Blue Records. Check out their full line of stuff. Some of the stuff is up for streaming, so you can check it out that way too. But yeah, head on over. As I said, I'm going to leave a description or a link in the description for you guys on this. And I I hope you guys enjoy. All right, everyone, take care. Have a good one, and I'll talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.